they had him and Miles Bridges go at it last week in the workout, and that basically the Knicks were impressed. And it seems as though each workout he's having, he's showing out. What's your take, Shuni? I'll start with you. What's your take on Knox, man?
I don't know. So with Knox, there's a lot of skill. Like you can see he has. I mean, his shooting, his just his stroke looks it looks good. It looks really good. And Kentucky is also one of these schools where like it's hard to know
Yeah,
what
what
these
they
guys
be.
can actually do
Yeah,
because they all have to like sacrifice their game to an extent. I mean, we
right.
saw with Devin Booker, right? He
Yeah,
was just a
that's
role
true.
player on Kentucky,
True
and now
indeed.
this guy's averaging like 25 a night. So I, with Knox, and the other thing with Knox too is he's super young. Like I think he's like 2 years younger than a lot of these guys.
Yeah, he's second
Uh,
youngest in the draft, I believe.
yeah, and you can like look at his legs in this
Yeah,
video you're showing. He's got these skinny legs that he just needs to grow into his body so much.
He's not skip leg day.
Yeah, and
yeah.
actually one thing my biggest concern with Knox
Mm-hmm.
was that when I watched him play, like he's 6'9", he's almost got like a 7-foot wingspan. You want to see a guy like that use his body like physically as an advantage offensively.
Right.
And like, this is actually something I think about like Frank needs to do too to take his game to the next level is you just got to be able to use those physical tools you have to your advantage.
Yeah.
And so that was like a big concern, but I actually saw a report from a tweet from one of these a Philly beat guy that said that at the Philly workout, because he was in a group workout there, that he was throwing his weight around, like he was using it. So look, like and I know the Knicks when they worked him out, they had him and Miles play like 1-on-1.
Yeah.
They had them match up. So I don't know what happened there, but I mean, if Knox just like killed Miles, that would probably change your way of thinking too, right? Like we don't know what they saw. We have no idea.
True.
So and like the fact that right after that meeting was all this, or we started hearing rumors of not just Knox to New York, but I saw like on the Ringers, their mock draft, they had him at 7, right? They had him going 7 to
that's
Chicago.
up there, man.
That's
so
crazy.
so clearly the buzz isn't just like New York buzz. There's buzz from elsewhere.
Yeah. Jay Ellis, what do you think? One of the knocks on Knox is that is that his motor, right? He has a low motor. I mean, I would particularly think that any coach should be able to change that, that negative attribute about a player, especially with somebody so young. But what do you think about that when people knock him and say that he has a low motor?
It scares me. It scares me when people don't have that natural I want to come after you feel. It scares me a little bit because I feel like low motor. I feel like if you're out of shape is one thing. I feel like if it's in and out, then it might be a competitiveness issue, and that's what really worries me more than the motor.
Right.
Because I feel like the motor is indicative of him not being that competitive, which is why I like Miles so much.
I like Miles a little bit more, but even though McCall isn't fiery, like he competes. That guy competes.
Yeah.
And with the thing with Knox too, like you talked about competitiveness. See, like some of that offensively, I think people mistake. Oh, he wasn't aggressive looking for a shot. Some of that's just like the offense. I don't think that's necessarily him. But like if you look at his rebounding numbers or his like he doesn't get a lot of steals. He doesn't get a lot of blocks.
That's what I'm worried about.
He's not like a big time rebounder for a 3 either. So when you see stuff like that, that's what I see with him. And like when I talked about not using his weight like to have to his advantage offensively, he doesn't do it defensively either. Like I've seen clips of him like look, let's not dump on the guy too hard, but Melo wasn't exactly like the hardest fighter over screens,
No.
And with Knox, like I saw some stuff at Kentucky where like if he saw a screen, it was like, nah, nope, not going there.
Right. It's true. It's true, man. It's very, very intriguing with Knox, man. I feel like he's one of the most, when it comes to opinions, I think it's the most polarizing is with Kevin Knox in terms of, especially how Knicks fans see him. But I think what Calipari said was interesting in that, he says you don't draft these players for who they are now. You draft them for what they can be. And like Schwinny, to your point about Devin Booker, we really didn't see his greatness until he got into the league at Phoenix. You know, this could be a similar situation with Knox. You never know.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's the hardest thing about the draft because like all we like, especially for us, right? Because we're not inside. We don't talk to their coaches. We don't talk to people they grew up with and all. We don't get the character stuff that all these front offices do.
Yeah.
And we don't interview them. Like we don't talk to them privately. So we don't get that opportunity to kind of get a feel for not just them as a player, but them as a person, which is relevant to them in being able to improve. And so like, you know, nobody could have predicted, right, that Giannis would develop into like what he's developed. That's not something that you can predict. So it's really hard projecting. And it's like, you know, it's ultimately these guys are like 18, 19, 20 years old, and we're trying to put ceilings and floors and stuff on it. And it's like we have no. It's just such an inexact science that
the draft is a crapshoot, man. So many things got to click.
It's like what I would say about Knox is just what we have available to us. There's too many questions for me to like just like overlook with him. And if we were gonna gamble on somebody that is super like that, because he's gonna be kind of, I don't like using the word project because I think everybody you draft is essentially a project. But he's got like Knox right now is a player that when you watch him, you see what he can do in flashes, but you rarely see it over the course of an entire thing. Yeah, and almost never do you see like the whole package. You might get a game where for the whole game he's awesome at shooting or his scoring is really working, but like you don't see like you know what I mean? Like you're not seeing like, oh, he's also playing great defense and he's also doing all these other things. Like, so if we're gonna draft a player like that is just very much like a potential like upside play and will need very structured development. Like if we're going that way, to me, like Lonnie Walker is a better bet than Knox because I see that in like, I don't question his motor. I might question a lot of things about Walker, but I don't question his motor.
True. Yo, I think we got a call coming in. Yo.
Hey, what's up?
What's good, bro? Yo, just turn your volume down on your computer. Yeah.
All right. Sound.
All right. Who's this, bro? What's going on?
Yeah, this is Fritz.
Fritz, what's good, bro? Where you from, man?
I was in chat. Yeah, Knox is intriguing. As now, he's not a gym rat. Like, he kind of reminds you of, like, you know where Dwight Howard was before he got drafted. And then he showed up to the draft, and he was a beast. So maybe the Knicks want something unfinished that he doesn't even know his own ceiling yet.
Yeah.
So
I think it's definitely possible. It's definitely.
It looks like he lost weight for sure.
Yeah, just he definitely looks like he hasn't. He's not living in the gym. So maybe they think they can bring him to the next level.
True. It's early, man.
So if he
go ahead.
Yeah, so if he's this good now, if they think they could mold him into something better, they're gonna take someone with a higher ceiling.
Yeah, that's totally like I mean, if they pick Knox, it wouldn't be my pick. Like, I don't think that's crazy. I think that there's definitely a lot of skills there to work with. He has the potential to be a 3-level scorer. Like, you can see that. His floater is already really nice, which is like, I mean, that's an important shot for a perimeter player, I think. He's got the pull up. Like he can get to his pull up. He might not be great at it yet, but like he can get to it, and that in and of itself is a skill. Like, you know, shot creation is a skill. The fact that he can create his own shot right now at 18, 19 years old, like that's a skill, and it's not something that, you know, when you're projecting out, it's hard. Like, again, it's really hard, and a lot of it ultimately just comes down to your personal belief in the guy.
True,
like,
indeed.
Do you believe in him?
True.
I like people with work ethic though, personally. Like, I don't know, I'd rather take a shot on people who work hard on certain things than just have the physical tools and kind of just rely on that. That's just like a personal thing though.
True indeed. Yo, Fritz, thanks for the call, bro. I think we lost Fritz, but thanks for the call. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and yeah, man, appreciate you. Let's go to the chat, see what people are saying on Knox. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Sim, Nothing But Knicks, what's good? Nothing But Knicks in the building. Eddie Roldan, what's good? Lakers for Life 2018 is in the building. So shout out to a Laker fan in here. Terrell Frazier says Knox's age got me interested. T. Williams says if we don't draft Knox, watch Mills get fired. I don't see that.
I don't think about that.
Mills got the keys to the kingdom, bro.
That's a reach.
Yeah.
Mills got the keys to the kingdom.
Thanks, young Hayes, for subscribing.
Mills could draft Grayson Allen at 9. He wouldn't get fired, probably.
Yeah. Jay Alvarez, what's good, Jay? I think Jay wants Knox. D. Williams says Knox has more potential. Flat out, stop the hate.
It's not hate. Potential, man, is one thing, but you got to be able to work. I mean, you know what, dude? Some people change their work ethic after they get their ass kicked in the NBA. So that could possibly happen too. Ask Tim Hardaway Jr. about that. He got sent to the D League after he got his ass kicked and got put in the bench. Yeah. So sometimes it takes that. Even Trae Burke will have that same type of story before he had to work his way back into the NBA. So it's possible his work ethic could change, but his work ethic kind of worries me a little bit.
Yeah, and one thing to consider too is, like, with Fizdale as our coach, you know, and I'm sure he has some input on. I don't think, like, ultimately it's going to be Perry and Mills' call, but I'm sure that, you know, they get Fizdale's input.
Yeah.
I can't imagine them taking somebody that, like, if they take Knox, they must feel pretty convinced that his work ethic isn't an issue, because I don't think that they'll take somebody that they feel like has a low motor or anything. Like, if they take him at 9, it's because
he showed all three
of them just believe that, like, the motor or work ethic issues are either like
they could work through that.
Yeah, exactly. They can either work through it or they're exaggerated and overblown, or like maybe like the light turned on for him or something. I don't know. But I mean, like, I think you just touched on it. Like, sometimes people just, once they get their ass kicked, they realize, like, oh, okay, well, I just need to work harder, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm losing money. All right, well, 2 days every day. Let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, Oladipo even, like, he even said it, right? Like, he didn't realize how hard he had to work until he went to OKC, saw how hard Russell Westbrook worked, and he got traded to Indiana, and then he put in work like that, and, you know, now he was like probably the best shooting guard in the East.
He stepped it up.
Honestly, that's what Moody's problem is right now. Like, he admitted that he relied on his athleticism his whole career. And then he realized when he got here that he has to actually do some stuff. He can't just use his big size as a point guard, just overpower people. You got to put the work in. So
he needs to get
see how long it takes for him to put it together.
True indeed, man. All right, so that was Kevin Knox. Let's get to these Lonnie Walker rumors. And Jonathan Wasserman from Bleacher Report says that Lonnie Walker and the Knicks had a 3-hour dinner, and it seems like he could be in the mix at number 9. So JLs, what's your take on this kid? And his stock seems to be rising.
Man, it looks like this flirting is going on. It looks like there's more flirting, man. Last week I was talking about how it seemed like the Knicks and Trae Young were flirting. Like, they didn't really have – the Knicks haven't really put out any type of real press release about any, like, real prospects yet. First it was Trae Young, then it was Lonnie Walker. I think they might have said something about Carter Jr. as well.
Carter Jr.,
Yeah. Those are the 3. But a 3-hour lunch – 3-hour dinner, that's huge, man. That's huge. That maybe is a real sleeper. Lonnie, he's one person that I don't really expect for us to pick at 9.
Yeah, I don't expect it. We never.
But I don't know if I would be completely mad if we picked him at 9, just because of his freak athleticism. He seems like he has the dog. He's not perfect defensively, but he has the length to actually, you know, translate that into the NBA, and I just like his potential. And that 3-point shot is nice, man. He's like almost like a Roar McCall, maybe. I don't know.
Ashwin, what's your take on Lonnie? I think you said you were high on him, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like a lot about Lonnie Walker. He's he's a lot like Knox, where you see it with him in flashes. I actually wrote something on him for Posting and Toasting. I'm just going to post in the comments.
Yeah, post the article in the comments.
Yeah, sure.
It just it's like, the thing with him is he's very much like, you just see it in flashes. You don't get it all together. But if you look at his season, so he was injured at the start of the season, and so, like, if you split his season up into 2 halves, and, like, look, these are small samples, 16 games and 16 games. But his second half of the year, like you could see more improvement. Like he doubled his assists, he upped his scoring. So like you could kind of see where you can be talked into that upside.
He's figuring it out.
Yeah, but like the other thing though when I watch him is like he's a really bad decision maker. Like really, really bad decision maker. He takes stupid shots.
Yeah.
He calls his number like all the time when he doesn't need to call his number or shouldn't call his number. For a combo guard, he doesn't part of being a combo guard is playmaking, and he's not the best playmaker for others anyway. So, like the athleticism is real. Like he does a couple of things every game that you can't teach, that are not like coachable. They're just in you physically or not. And he does a couple of things every game that make you like really say, wow. And like if you listen to him in interviews, he's another one of these kids, like his interviews are just very impressive. He comes across really well. So when I read that, like when I saw that report that he had a 3-hour dinner with the Knicks, like I wasn't that surprised because he's captivating. Like he's very much like a captivating person. And I can see why, they would
want us to meet with him.
Yeah. And I can understand why that meeting would go 3 hours, but I wouldn't take him at 9. As much as I like him, I wouldn't take him at 9.
Yeah.
And if the only scenario where I would take him is if we traded down.
True.
Like that's how I feel about Knox too, because I like a lot of things about both of them, but at 9, I just prefer like a Miles or a McCall,
right?
Or even like a Wendell Carter, where I have less questions about them, even if the upside maybe isn't as high as Knox or Walker.
Yeah.
I prefer like more certainty,
Question for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lonnie Walker or Zaire Smith? Because I feel like Zaire Smith is like defensively better, but he's not very aggressive. But he's not gonna give you much mistakes. But
Zaire's kind of interesting because he's a guard that plays like a big man. Like he posts up a lot. He does like when a lot of guards run pick and roll as a ball handler. Like he runs it as more of a roll man. So he plays like a big man. His defense is crazy. Like his weak side shot blocking.
Yeah, his defense, from what I've seen on the tape, looks impressive, man.
But like with Walker, and this is like an inherent bias for me, is I'll always like, to me, the most important skill in basketball is shot creation. Like if you're if you can create your own shot, then like you're 50% of the way to being an elite offensive player, because the next step is doing that efficiently and knowing when to do it.
Right.
And so with Walker, like I can see, like you can see it with him. Like I said, like his decision making sucks.
But he has the balls.
Which is like the
Miles McCall thing.
Yeah, but like he can get, like you can toss Lonnie Walker the ball and he's gonna get you a shot. It might not be a good shot, it might be a stupid shot, but he'll get you a shot. And you can't. Not everybody has that in them. Like not every player has that ability to create space for a shot. And like, that's what makes Kyrie so great, right? Like we talked about Kyrie earlier. Like that's what makes him so great, is because he can create out of nothing and he does it efficiently. Like Ken Walker, Mitchell was another guy this year. Like he was super impactful for Utah because even though he wasn't like that efficient, sometimes you just need a guy that, like, you just need that in your offense, to have a guy that can create when everything goes to shit. And like, it's the NBA. So there are a lot of possessions where things don't go according to plan, right? And so you need a guy that can improvise and just create. And I just see that more in Lonnie than I do in Zaire, which isn't like if you like Zaire more, that's a totally reasonable and maybe even smarter opinion. But there's just something about Walker that like I admittedly like more than I maybe should.
Yeah.
It's like the Miles McCall thing. Like I said, I feel like the Miles is the one who's probably going to create a little bit more than McCall, and it'll probably be the same for the Zaire versus Lonnie Walker. So
yeah, but Zaire's way better defensively than Walker. So like, I don't think Walker is that bad defensively.
No, he's not. He's not broken.
Yeah, he's not. He's just not an impact defender. Yeah. But like, he's okay. He's fine. But with Zaire's, he's an impact defender. Like if he's on the floor, you'll know he's on the floor on defense.
What's your head telling you? What's your prediction?
To be honest, it's 3 guys. My unrealistic pick, because he's not dropping, is Mo Bamba.
Okay.
Bamba.
My heart is saying, Lonnie Walker, but my mind is saying McHale as well.
Okay.